Welcome to Thrones and Scones. It's your weekday morning podcast where we talk about Game of Thrones over breakfast. We have a couple thrones left. We have a couple breakfasts left in us. Some overarching recaps. And we thought we'd start today, possibly, with our recap of Season 8. Slightly delayed, but here in the flesh, it's Tony, Hans, and Jeremy in Witcher, tackling all of the most recent season of Game of Thrones. And we haven't discussed it, but Jeremy, do you have a scone?
I do have a scone.
Do you? There is no correct answer here.
Yeah, I was just trying to think.
We normally don't do them for the recaps.
I know,
so
I don't.
If you don't have one, you don't have one.
I know I made some. I just don't remember what it was I ate this morning while we're recording this 5 seconds ago.
Right
You
now.
mean-
Well,
you
Jeremy's
mean what
gone
you're
blind and
eating
he can't
at the
actually
moment?
currently see.
What is my taste buds telling me?
Oh no, Jeremy, careful, you burned yourself. You'll never be able to taste again.
Why don't I circle back to this once I have taste sensation again?
That sounds like a fabulous plan.
Good idea.
Indeed. Well, Jeremy, we missed you last week.
Yeah. Hashtag tornadoes are real.
Just don't go back and listen to the episode. Just trust that we missed you and we had nothing.
Yep, I'm pretty sure I was replaced very quickly.
It was
Yeah. Nothing
listening back to that episode.
A lot of anger.
It was brutal, a little bit. A little brutal.
but
Unfairly brutal.
nothing but good things said, I don't think.
Yeah. So, but Jeremy, all's well on the front.
Yeah, we were lucky. Again, there's a lot of people who had a lot more damage in this area, so I'm just glad that my family are safe. And hey, just some home repairs and lovely, enjoyable picking up the yard. But again, we're blessed. We're healthy, so we're good.
Now, how high were you in the tornado?
Well, there were sharks everywhere, so it was really hard to get an idea of actual.
It's a given.
So like 50 sharks high, if that makes sense, is kind of how I have to think of it. There was at least 50 below me.
What? I mean, I don't know what kind of sharks you have.
Tiger sharks.
Tiger sharks. Okay.
Right, they have like the white tip. Maybe they're called reef sharks. Maybe they're reef sharks.
Reef sharks have black tips.
Oh no, these are definitely.
So, this like Wizard of Oz type situation or just pure Sharknado?
Oh, totally pure Sharknado. There was no witches.
Okay.
Was it black and white or color?
Oh, totally color.
Okay, so definitely Sharknado. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Which
Did you see weirdly D-list celebrities around?
Oh well, when we say D-list, do we not mean? Let's see, who did I have here? We had a little bit of Vin Diesel, so he was
Vin
in.
Diesel.
Is he D-list?
I mean, back.
Wait, you don't think he's not D-list?
I think
Not now. Not with
Fast and the Furious kind of.
Oh, okay.
He's practically S.
It's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to say.
like B-list.
So Jean-Claude Van Damme was here. He was driving a truck
Sure.
while kicking some
I
ass.
can get behind that.
I'm gonna say we had some Denzel Washington.
You can't. Denzel Washington is not a D-list celebrity.
I don't think you just because his name starts with D doesn't mean he's a D-list celebrity.
We had some Dolph.
So Dolph Lundgren.
So sort of.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I
We
feel like
had
probably
some-
like Kathy Griffith just making some jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely there.
just hanging out.
Is it Kathy Griffith or Kathy Griffin?
Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin.
Making some jokes.
Let's see who else was in this lovely tornado of sharks.
Maybe like that guy who plays Rudy in Samwise Gamgee, the dude from Stranger Things.
Oh yeah. No, he was definitely down. What was he doing there? Oh, I think he was feeding some sharks at the time.
Probably
Most
not.
likely.
I can't.
One of
think
them
the
had to
guy's
have a
name.
big old chainsaw or something.
Right. Yeah, so it's pretty straight up fantastic fun times.
How many Sharknadoes are there nowadays?
5?
Seriously?
Whoa, I was thinking Trey.
Crazy. Do those
I'm
things
gonna look
make
it up. I think they're done with them.
Do those things make it to theaters, or are they like straight to, or just TV specials?
I'm unsure.
I know the first one had to just be like a random sci-fi thing or something, or History Channel.
Would you say that the epitome of I don't think D-list would call it, but I'm going to say of sell your soul for money for films would be one of these following people. Nicolas Cage or Samuel L. Jackson.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, probably. Although both of them every once in a while will just be in great movies. Probably less so with Nicolas Cage these days, though.
Because Sam Jackson has been in some very like top tier movies that people talk about being the best, and I mean I think he's got some serious acting chops. Not that I'll say that Nick Cage doesn't. But
Okay.
Nick Cage just kind of.
Okay. So so right now, round one,
Sam
Nicolas
does the
Cage
Matt Damon
wins.
thing where he just kind of appears in things.
He does.
But Nicolas Cage like fronts weird, terrible movies.
Okay, we're gonna go. So round one, Nicolas Cage. Ding ding. Round two,
Ooh.
Nicolas Cage, still in this for the title, comes up against Steven Seagal.
I feel like Steven Seagal just does Steven Seagal type movies, though.
Can't say that I could argue that because I can't tell you the last time I saw one of his movies.
Well, he's not. So
he's a
I mean, but
police
you've seen the
officer
show,
now,
right? For the last 20 years, I've been a cop in New Orleans. Bet you didn't know.
That no one knew.
Weirdest show. Give me what's the title for again? Like biggest sellout?
Yeah, I mean, like, because I wouldn't call it D-list because I would argue that Nicolas Cage, at points in his career, was getting paid a lot of money to make certain films.
Absolutely.
Oh, sure.
Right? And so then
Yeah.
he used that to kind of create his image that is, I will show up and do any film you want if you pay X number to me. And he just does it.
I feel like I could, if I had a bunch of money, I could get Nicolas Cage in a room before Steven Seagal.
Okay.
Because, I mean, have you seen Steven Seagal cameo in anything?
No, I'm just saying, I've just seen him in bad movies. Like where he's in
Right. Yeah.
all these
yeah,
movies.
for sure. But I don't even know. I bet you he hasn't even. Let's play the net worth game here. I bet you Steven Seagal's worth like 12 million.
Really? I'd say he's worth a little bit more
How
than
much is
that.
Steven Seagal worth?
I don't know.
16.
Martial artist and actor.
Pretty good.
Steven Seagal.
Martial artist.
Martial arts.
He's got some black belts, y'all.
Who would be the equivalent to like a Steven Seagal in cinema now? Because we had like the Jean-Claude Van Damme type movies, which was, I would argue, was pretty similar, where they're they're almost kind of like martial artist first, then actor, or like, you know what I mean? Kind of action
Like the
star,
Chuck Norris thing.
then actor. Yeah, Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal. I would even argue like Jet Li to an extent.
Jet
right?
Li, Jackie Chan.
Yeah, who would be that today?
I'm gonna
younger, 'cause-
I'm gonna offend you. I'm gonna say Keanu.
Keanu.
Does Keanu have a martial arts background?
I mean, no, but he's done with The Matrix and with then now John Wick. It's become very much like a fighting role, kind of like action hero in a way for his career now.
Sure.
I don't know. I think it's become less of a thing just because of the way that so many fights are nowadays. Like you could just you bulk somebody up and you train them a couple moves and then, you jump around, you make them look good.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't think we really have action heroes as much anymore.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
Like Jackie Chan is still around. He made a movie.
Oh, fantastic.
Not too long
Best
ago.
movie ever made by him.
I didn't see it, but I heard it was good.
What was it called?
I didn't
Something
see it either.
Survivor or fuck.
It looked dark.
Oh god, it's super dark. It's just really good. And again, he plays like this broken ex kind of like Chinese immigrant that was prior army against the whole, IRA kind of thing. Is it NRA? Northern Ireland something? What is that?
IRA, Irish
IRA.
Republican Army.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. NRA, National Rifle Association. They're the same thing.
They're the same.
They like guns.
You could maybe make a case for John Cena.
Maybe.
Have you seen Cockblockers? Because doesn't do a lot of action.
No, I'm just saying, like, coming from some sort of... I mean, it's not fighting, but
No, I get what you're saying. Or even The Rock, maybe, right? Kind of the same thing. But he
I
does.
think you could pit The Rock up against Nick Cage in this whole sellout for money
Oh,
thing.
Oh,
sure.
totally, yeah.
For sure.
So is that your vote? Is that your other person you think The Rock is? I was trying to think of other actors or actresses. I'm not going to say I'm going to make this a male-only contest.
Maybe like maybe the MMA fighter turned wrestler who went actress before wrestling.
Who?
She was in the Fast and Furious movie.
Ronda Rousey?
Ronda Rousey, yeah. So she was technically like an MMA fighter before she got famous and then did some movies. I don't know if she
What
did
movies
she
has she-
headline any movies?
I don't remember seeing her in any movies, so I would say no.
I just know she's been like
possible.
parts of movies. Like she was in a Fast and Furious. I know that.
Sure.
She was in Fast and Furious?
Was she part of the family?
7 or 8? I don't even know what Fast and Furious we're on right now. No, she was a bad guy. Bad girl.
Really?
Sorry.
Bad girl. That's
Bad guy.
It's a different
guy girl.
connotation when you say it that way for some reason.
she's a bad,
such a bad
girl. You're so bad. Stop.
Women can be bad guys and men can be bad girls. Trust me.
Anyway,
Who do you think?
maybe we should just real quick before we switch. Maybe we should reach out to the listeners.
Sure.
Let's hear some responses. Who they think is the Steven Seagal equivalent these days? They got
Yeah.
any better ideas than us? They got anyone who can match up to Ronda Rousey? Although I think that may be the only movie she's in, so this may be a bad choice. I feel like they almost got to have like a headlining movie to be considered, though, right? Because like Chuck
True.
Norris and them, they had just constant movies.
Delta
And I
Force, 1
I
through
gotta
19.
think, and maybe it's just because there's so many places to put movies now that there's less that they're just less popular because you don't have to. A lot of those movies were not going to theaters, though, right? Those are just like AMC movies and TV movies. I gotta think.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Straight to
Straight to
VHS.
VHS.
Yeah, has Nicolas Cage had a movie go to theaters in the last?
He was
I'm
in
not sure.
Spider-Verse.
I was just about to say that because that to me is voice that doesn't count.
But anyway, yeah, send us your input. I feel like
Jason Statham apparently has martial arts background.
Oh shit, that's probably
that's
the
the
best
perfect
one.
example.
Done.
Yeah,
Done. And
Winner.
his movies are very like B-tiered movies.
They are.
So
I saw something the other day about like how The Meg was his like highest grossing movie or something.
that's insane.
I guess I thought like just because I was never big into like the straight on crazy shoot 'em up, blow 'em up action movies. I knew the name Jason Statham, even though I didn't really like know him from particular things. I just figured he was a bigger guy than that.
No, he's
Yeah, I gotta think his most famous movies, other than Fast and Furious, has got to be like the Transporter series,
yep.
probably. Right?
Sure.
But yeah, he's done.
Was he
a
the one that
lot.
was in that movie about like if you stop driving you die?
No, that's Speed.
No, that's
That's Keanu.
no. You're talking.
There's
about
another
where-
one, or like
yeah,
he couldn't
if-
stop walking
He
or
gets,
something.
he
They had to
gets
keep
like
No,
a
he's
starting
heart
his
drug
heart.
or something.
Yeah,
It's like,
he was on a. He had to like keep his adrenaline up, or else he died.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was called Adrenaline actually.
They made 2 of those movies. Let's not forget. They might have even made more. It's called Crank, isn't it?
Yeah, something
Quality.
like that, yeah.
Crank.
Crank. Oh, crank. What an off word.
Crank 1 and Crank 2.
Crank.
Yep, he's dying, then he throws on some defibrillators and just keeps it going.
Yeah, I think he defibrillates himself, which is pretty badass.
It's hey.
I also think
Jason
he just
Statham.
like randomly has sex with a chick in front of a bunch of people, which is probably not. That was the Crank one.
Which
that was
sort of
before.
reminds me of this show called Game of Thrones.
Yeah, perfect segue.
Let's talk. I mean, I think we're perfectly in the mindset to start ranking things and to start, dissecting. This is flawless. It's been a little while. We're like a little over 2 weeks now into our lives post Game of Thrones. I haven't watched the little recap documentary yet. I'm waiting to cancel HBO until I do.
I haven't either.
I do want to watch. Although now I will say, HBO. We keep saying they need to bring their A game. This Chernobyl show is getting a lot of fucking press.
Are you watching it? I have not started,
No,
but
I
I've
haven't
heard
started, but
really
it's
good
apparently
things about
really
it.
good.
Yeah. We
So
could
I
we
wanted
could
to-
we could become an HBO podcast.
We could do it just an H. Just yeah, totally. I told Hans last week. I've totally transitioned to like lighthearted comedy shit. I just finished Broad City. I'm on Letterkenny now. Great shit all around.
Is Letterkenny? Is that the whole Canada thing?
Yeah, it's freaking hilarious.
I hear it's.
I keep seeing these clips online, and I'm like, this is funny. There's no way that it would be funny for like a whole episode.
Yeah,
and it fucking is.
It's
episode
so
after
good.
episode.
Is it like Trailer Park Boys kind of thing?
I've never seen it.
I haven't watched Trailer Park Boys either.
That's another Canada thing. Yeah. Anyway, I have to watch it. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's quality.
Super good.
I started watching Good Omens on Amazon, which just came out.
Is that comedy?
Which is that? No, I mean, like, not really. It's that big one that I think I was telling you guys about that has fucking David Tennant and John Hamm and Michael Sheen and Frances McDormand. There are others. It's like a huge cast. It's an Amazon Prime original series about like a demon and an angel working together to stop the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. I just watched the first episode, which was kind of all over the place, but I like the concept and the characters are fun, so I'll probably give it a couple more. We'll see.
Oh, speaking of Game of Thrones.
Somewhere in there.
I saw the High Sparrow in a movie that Jenna was just watching.
Oh.
And the movie had Amanda Bynes in it.
Ooh.
What was the movie?
Just terrible. It was an older movie. Just some Amanda Bynes chick flick. She goes to London or something. Her dad's running for political office.
Is he her dad?
Ringing a bell. No, he's not. He's the bad guy.
Oh, of course.
He's like the dad's campaign advisor or something.
And the dad has to kill him.
Nope, just punch him in the face. He just has to blow up his sept. That's it.
I forget what the, on Hulu right now, every goddamn time I turn on a show, there's a trailer for something, and this shows how well the commercial is doing, because I can't even tell you what it's called, but there's like a ship in the ice, and the ice is breaking, and there's a lot of semi-recognizable faces that I don't know their names, but I just stare at them and go, why do I know you? And one of the characters I finally figured out is Mance Rayder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, he's got the same look on his face that he always did in the fucking show. It's just one expression.
Just like surprised as shit.
He's
he's
surprised
like,
as shit all the time.
All the time.
Looks like he just grabbed his pants.
I just saw on Apple trailers, and I was watching the trailer for the next Rambo movie. There was a movie called Domino with Jamie Lannister in it as the main character.
Nice.
With Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce as another Category D actor, wouldn't you say?
Sure. I don't even know who Guy Pearce is, so yeah, definitely. Jamie, they tried to A-list Jamie Lannister with that whole, was it Gerard Butler movie? The Gods of Egypt or whatever? Or was it Russell Crowe? Remember this a few years back? The movie that was like, it was literally all green screen.
Yeah,
and
that
it
was
was supposed to be garbage.
Did you see it?
Sucked.
No,
I never watched it.
I did see it. It was terrible.
No, man.
This is a bummer.
There was some appropriation going on in that one too, I think.
Oh, sure.
Right? Because it was they
buy
casted a completely just white dude to play the Egyptian guy.
Well, that's super.
It's fair. People in Egypt, totally white.
Yeah. Gave him Egypt face.
Oh. So, how are you guys doing? Jeremy, what are you watching? You watching anything?
Currently, let's see, what have I been watching? No, I've just been reading actually a lot. I'm like a little obsessed with also I'm finishing up Fire and Dragon, so
Fire and Blood.
thank you, that one. Jesus Christ. You would think I would know anything about books I'm reading them. Seeing how
There's fire, there's dragons, there's blood. Who can
I'm
keep
like
it straight?
90% done with it, which it's good. It's really well written for like me in the sense of like learning about the families and the history. But the entire time I'm reading it, I think I'm just so angry because I'm like, what the fuck? Why did you write this book? I don't want this book. I want you to finish the fucking series that you said you would finish. So that's been one. And then Patrick Rothfuss wrote this book called The Name of Wind, and it's one of those things that's just like, it's fantasy writing at its best. And so it's supposed to be 10 books, and now 3 are published, and I'm on the 3rd book now. I mean, it makes me like Harry Potter schoolgirl excited. It is fucking great. It's the only book I would say series that has been as like well thought and put together as Game of Thrones. Because Game of Thrones books, I tell people all the time, I'm like, fuck Lord of the Rings. Like, those are great books. They are good. But, like, Game of Thrones, like, that series, those books are, they're fucking, like, going to school and learning how to write fantasy.
Yeah, they're solid throughout.
Contrast that to the show.
Careful now. Do you guys have this... the book thing reminded me of I'm like going through, I'm like, oh yeah. Because I've been reading I'm almost done now finally with this Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, which I never knew there was a series. I always thought there was just one book.
That was one
5
book.
Fucking books.
Yeah, holy shit.
They're great. They're very funny. But I'm almost done now, and I'm like, oh, what's next? And now I'm like remembering. And I just don't, it's probably just because there's so many different things. So books, TV shows, etc. Do you guys have this fear that like you'll get into something and then just forget about it because you're waiting for the next thing, the next season or the next book or whatever, and then it's just like you'll happen to miss the release announcement, and then you'll just be like, fuck it, I'll never remember that.
Yeah, I do, because it's a legitimate fear because I forget what I'm watching just when I have to watch it week by week on Hulu. If I can't binge it, I just forget about it. If it's not on my this is what you're watching now on Hulu, it's gone forever.
Right.
So I can't keep track.
It's crazy. It's like, I think we were talking before about Man in the High Castle. I noticed a while back that I was like, oh, season 3 is a thing. And then it was just like, nah. I don't know why this was it so easy before because everything was in one place or there was less stuff? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think a big part of it is just less commercials just like down your throat constantly too. Because maybe when you're on TV, you get a lot of the commercials for that network, or shows are in bunches, right? A lot of their big stuff will be on the same night, So you'll watch this show, which then reminds you to watch the show that's right after it. Which then,
True.
You watch it in blocks almost, like 7. I remember watching shows, especially comedies. It'd be like 7 to 9 p.m. You just watch all 4 comedies back to back because you got nothing else to watch, And then that's what you watch. Even though you really only wanted to watch one show, you just end up watching the whole block. So
I'm just like, well, I'm here. I wanna maybe throw a little Game of Thrones in here in the middle of this. I love the discussion we're having, but just because I feel like Jeremy's about to lay down some heat that I've finally cooled off.
Oh, God, you guys didn't have me around last time. I'm here to piss you the fuck off.
I've properly lotioned my butt from all the chafing that has just been given by all this fucking people rubbing my ass raw about this season. And so, I don't know if that's a phrase. It is now.
Just became one.
Let's talk season 8 of Game of Thrones. Now, I will say, and we have addressed kind of so much about these individual episodes, the season as a whole, the series as a whole, but I will just say, I went back and was listening to like our old recaps and stuff, and I straight up asked the question, and the fact that we all didn't have an immediate answer of no, I think just says the ridiculous stakes that we were giving this season. Like, I asked, to be a good ending, does this have to be the best season of Game of Thrones? And the answer was not definitively no, which in retrospect is a crazy bar.
It's a shitty thing to do to this show. I agree.
Oh, yeah. I was hyped as shit.
I was absolutely... Going back, I can hear it, and it doesn't sound wrong or off to say.
But I think that would be accepting that we didn't want it to be. And I think when those questions are asked, right, at the end of the day, it wasn't just hype. It was like true enjoyment in this world, and we just didn't want that to fall flat. Which I will be like, fuck you, Game of Thrones, in a way, because up until this point, even in the slower periods, you still gave me great stories, right? Like, you still, whether or not you like the whole, Sparrow story, which a lot of us don't, there was still some complexity there in developing other characters and reasoning behind, ploys that is really interesting. And maybe
I mean, if you're making a counterpoint to things that happened with season 8, I don't necessarily. They built up the Sparrows to be all this crazy thing, but it ended just as quickly and quietly as the White Walkers did. True.
No. I'm just saying. I felt. I said I'm talking about trying to understand, like, making the end the best. I'm like, I think I wanted it to be the best because I felt like they had in prior seasons done enough to kind of give us that build to the end. Yeah. And that's all I was saying. Like, that's literally for
totally
me what I was hoping for. And yeah, it's an expectation that was lofty, but come on, this is Game of Thrones. Like, they fucking kill main characters for fucking fun.
Yeah, I was absolutely, you're right. I would love for this to have been the best season. I think that we can all equivocally agree that it was not.
Agreed.
Right? Not the number one season of Game of Thrones. I would have loved it. And I think coming off of, not for Hans, because he still hasn't goddamn seen it, but coming off of Endgame, which was an incredible end to a 10-year run.
Fuck, I know, exactly. That's a great point.
It stung a little bit that this wasn't necessarily everything we wanted it to be. And I'm saying that as one of Season 8's supporters here.
So you're saying I should go see it or no?
I think...
It's a 50-50.
Nah, I would just pirate it, find one of those videos where someone's recording it off their phone, and, like, watch it on the toilet.
Yeah, at, like, a 30-degree angle where, like, 2/3 of the film is there, and there's, like, a hardcore Korean subs at the bottom.
Yeah, and it's super low res, and your phone's dying, so it's really dark.
Yeah.
Jeremy's mind was still stuck on sitting on the toilet.
Hardcore.
Avengers Endgame hardcore teen. Wait, no. Back
Whoa. What is this hardcore stuff? Screw Avengers.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for. I'm sure you can find it.
Oh, I'm sure. God.
Thanos, snap me, daddy. Oh, Lord.
Fuck.
I'm a little, we asked to prepare some additional stuff. We will rank all the seasons and stuff, but I think a good place to start maybe is ranking, since there were only 6 of them, ranking the episodes of season 8. Do you guys feel up to that task?
Yes. Absolutely. I can do that. I feel like maybe the way we should structure it though is like give a little bit, do we have like a one-liner we can say about each ep, or like the main plot point?
Ooh, you're damn right.
Nice.
I mean, I don't have one, but I can make one up. I'm confident. This is where our terrible season 8 note-taking is really gonna screw us.
Ooh. Yep, I can tell you right now. I didn't do as thorough a homework on season 8 because I was just experiencing it, not taking notes. Didn't think it was gonna hurt me because we were just reviewing the episodes week by week. Forgot about the recaps though.
It's true. I've got a half a page of notes for episode 1 and 2, a full page for episode 3.
Okay.
A half page for episode 4, and then 3 lines for episode 5, and 1 line for episode 6, and that 1 line is just what Scone and I had. So, it's actually better than I thought. Okay, so episode 1, we're back. People meet in Winterfell. Bran is creepy.
Okay.
Cersei doesn't get elephants. Episode 2, Sir Brienne of Tarth, Gendry and Arya fuck. I assume actually that's this episode. I can't see my note about it. Oh yeah. Later they bone. There it is. We see Ghost. I think that's it. I don't want to say that's it. That's a solid episode. That makes it sound like not a lot, but anyway.
Did anything happen in 3?
Three was pretty minimal.
I don't think I watched 3.
We watched, yeah. Lots of sunglasses were worn.
Yeah, I remember that now. It was really bright. It hurt my eyes.
Some battle happened. Episode 4, Starbucks cup. Bronze bitch ass. Brienne and Jamie fuck. Sansa tells Tyrion. It's pretty big. And then we lose Rhaegal and Missandei. Episode 5, The Bells. You know what happens. Yeah. Episode 6, you know what happens. I was writing down all of our names really quick here so that I could put our rankings down, and I was just writing and talking at the same time. Hans, your name looks great. My name, pretty legible. Jeremy's kind of looks like Jay-Z a little bit, I guess. Not a word. Certainly not a word.
You're welcome. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z. Did you?
Jay-Z.
Yeah, but most importantly, did you get all 3 E's?
I got all 3. Oh, yeah. That's what the Z is the third E.
Are you the only 3E'd Jeremy on the planet?
If we're going to say my name correctly, it is Jeremy.
Jeremy.
I've never met a Jeremy with 3 E's.
There is a Jeremy Donovan. He's an author.
Yeah?
It is spelled like that.
No, well, fuck you, Donovan.
Urban Dictionary
Jeremy
has a definition for Jeremy with 3 E's.
Fuck.
Would you like me to read it?
Of course I do.
Love it.
It's pretty good. An amazing guy. Very talented, very handsome, cute. Overall, a loving, caring human being. Has a large dick, which leads to girls always asking for nudes, or girls saying, "That's enough nudes for the night," but knows they want them so bad. He also is very loyal. He may not seem like it because all the hoes he gets, but is in fact a loyal guy.
Oh, fuck. This podcast is done right here.
He goes raw, and his pull-out game is strong. He can pull out if you want him to at any given time. If you really want him to use protection, you will have to give him 3 good reasons.
And then the bottom just has like a little line, and it just says, submitted by Sconesy J 15.
Oh. There's another thing for Jeremy with 3 E's, which is basically the opposite. A douchebag, lying sack of shit, thinks he's black, talking about Black History Month, but he's not.
Good Lord.
Sweet Jesus, that turned really quickly.
It even actually says, has a small dick. So Jeremy's all over the board.
Man, well, there we go.
And actually, that one was posted by
Hans.
Emily. Who can we trust? I don't know.
Who can we trust? Probably Emily.
Well, I think we can trust each other, or we can at least pretend to, so that the audience doesn't see through the illusion of our hatred. Jay-Z/Jeremy, would you like to go first?
Yeah. So for me, I'd probably have to say that.
Let's go.
The best or the worst?
Let's go worst to best.
Oh man, that's gonna be so fucking controversial.
This is your opinion, and it can't be wrong. We might tell you it's wrong.
Ep1 to me is the worst.
Is the worst.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I agree with that.
I think that I also agree with that.
And here's why I think it is because in a 6 episode season, this just didn't do enough for me.
Okay.
I felt like they could have done more in setting up some of the things that happen in the future. Maybe we could have gotten a little more of the Dead's kind of view maybe some more history of this big war that's coming. I think that would have been cool for this episode to do. But that's how this episode left me feeling, especially looking back now.
Sure. And talking about, if we put a lot of hype and a lot of expectation on the season, after 2 years off, I think the first episode could have come a little harder. Not that end wasn't crazy fucking terrifying with that kid and everything. It was a cool episode. But I totally agree. I wish it would have hit a little harder. I wish they would have used some of that downtime to do a bit more.
Agreed.
Jay Bone, your number 2 or your second?
Yeah,
tour?
so I think number 2 for me probably will be. Well, this is where things are just gonna get fucking real.
Sure.
Will be the Iron Throne for me.
6. Okay.
Because I think for all of the things that I wanted this to be, I can't but help feel that this just wasn't it. And that's just that there are some great things in this entire in this episode, and there's some great things in this entire season. But because this is the pinnacle, this in theory of the season, the end, it still doesn't have a good mouthfeel for me.
It's a rough scone.
Man, it was a rough scone.
Your number 3.
Oh,
Are we going around?
Are you not
we
going
Oh, we
around?
could go around. Yeah, we could go around. Hans, what did you think was?
So were you a 1 and everyone's
So-
agreeing on 1 or no? For the first?
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
agreeing on the worst. Yeah, I think 1 was the worst. Or the
Okay.
lowest.
I agree with that too.
I disagree as far as second worst.
Okay.
I think I would put episode 4 as my second worst.
Oh,
I
really?
would also put episode 4 as my second worst. And this is me. This is kind of us showing a little bit of, we wanted the exciting things, but it is the finale. I think that there was a lot of downtime in episode 4 as well. A lot of conversations that we already had. A lot of conversations that we would have in the next episode again.
And a lot of conversations, particularly one that we just didn't want. Bronn being a D-bag.
Bronn being a D-bag.
So is that the big part that this episode you didn't like? Because I thought this was actually a really good episode for a lot of reasons. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, man.
I liked all the episodes.
I liked all of them. I don't think anything was bad, but it was, and I think it was a tough episode. It was tough to follow episode 3 because you really almost had to just completely kind of shift the tone and everything to just almost kind of getting into a new storyline. I didn't. To be honest, I can't remember much of it other than the ending, which I thought the ending was good, but the rest of the episode just fell a little flat for me, to be honest.
Fair. Jeremy?
yeah,
Your number 4.
3, right?
Yeah, sorry. You're third from the bottom.
Third from the bottom.
Tony,
Yeah.
do you want to start one off? That way we don't make Jeremy start every time?
Yeah, I
it's
can do
fine.
that.
It doesn't. Yeah, cool.
I agree with Hans, putting number 4 right there. For the midpoint, I'm going to go ahead and give it to episode 6.
Yeah, that was mine too. I agree, 100%.
Yeah, I think I will probably. Yeah, I'm gonna go 4. Yeah.
Okay. So we've knocked out the same 3 in the bottom half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we agree at the bottom.
Yeah.
Here is where I think things will change.
Yeah, this gets tricky. I wrote mine down before recording, and the bottom 3 I had definitive, and the top 3 were a little bit nebulous. So I'll start off.
What a
if you don't
great
mind.
word.
I'll start off with, if you don't mind, with number 3.
I don't mind. Wait, are you saying episode 3 or your...
No, my third
Okay.
favorite, I guess.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. Go.
Which is episode 3.
Oh.
I thought it was great, but there's pieces of the other episodes I think I like just a bit better.
I give my third spot to episode 2.
Oh man.
Which
Fuck. We are literally all gonna disagree. That's
I know.
awesome.
Because it's literally It's so good. The episode is so... I almost don't have a problem with the episode at all, but I have never had as visceral of a reaction to episode 3 to anything ever. Like, in a form of media. Like, the closest I think I've ever come was reading the Red Wedding scene.
Yeah.
Because that just, like, took me out of commission for that day. But, like, the whole thing at the end, like, I was on my fucking literally edge of my seat. I jumped, I screamed. I was so into it. And I have yet to actually go back and watch it, but I was so encapsulated in that moment that I got to give it a little bit more props than putting it right there.
Sure.
But 2 was a great episode. It was a contender. These 3 are very close for me.
Yeah, mine were too.
So Jeremy, you're putting number 5.
Yeah. And I think, and that's just because it's not, and again, I think this is my problem. I think the top 3 at any point in a conversation, I can flip all of these just based on a mood of like, oh no, I really did like that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So 5, and then for me, shit, sorry. And then The Long Night, 3 is number 2 for me. And only because I felt like the chaos of this episode was something I don't think I've ever experienced in a show or film. You know, like it felt great and tense and worrisome and dark. Like that little slip of the dark thing in there. Yeah. But so, I mean, I feel like I have to give credit to that because I like cool things being done in shows. And I think like we got that. I will never forget watching that show for the first time because I sat on the edge of my seat the entire episode, right? Like,
for sure.
I remember shaking. I was enjoying it so much, yet angry so much, you know? Like, it's like so I thought that was cool. And then obviously 2, just fucking great episode. Like, we talk about pairings. We talk about just like, maybe it's so much fan service. I just couldn't help but like wet myself. I don't know. It was so good. So that's my top 3.
Yeah. 2, I don't mean to take anything away from episode 2. It fucking killed it. Especially coming right after episode 1. I thought that the last thing that I would want was a slow episode with people talking around a table, but it was so good.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, I kind of have an interesting take on this too, because I agree that any given day my top 3 I think could change here. And I would even go as far to say that if I had to pick one episode out of the entire season, interestingly enough, I'd probably pick episode 3, like to compare from the whole series. Like if I have to pick like a top 5 episodes of all times, 3 might make it. 2 probably wouldn't. But when I'm just looking at the season, it's hard for me to pick. I just love 2 so much. But I don't think you could have it without 3, if that makes sense.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know if it holds its own outside by itself of the season, but when you're just talking about the season, 2 is actually my favorite, too. I thought it was just so good. One of my favorite kind of slow-paced episodes of the whole series. So that's why I pick it.
1, 4, 6, 3, 5, 2?
1. Which order are we going in here?
Worst to best.
Worst to best. 1, 4, 6, 3, 5, 2. Correct.
Cool. Okay.
Although the more I think about it, I probably would swap 3 and 5.
Oh shit. Okay.
So wait, you think 5 should be the second?
Third. 5 is the third for me.
1, 4, 6, 5, 3, 2.
That's mine, yeah.
Oh yeah, so 2 and 3 as the top.
Yeah, because again, like the more I thought about it, I was like, I really love 2. 5 was so good, and 3. But again, every time I think about 2, I think about 3, and every time I think about 3, I think about 2.
Yeah,
if that
me
makes
too.
sense. Like they just go together, so I can't separate them.
So I'm at 1, 4, 6, 2 here, already at quite the divergence. And yes, again, I think my whole list, except I'm pretty confident throwing number 1 where it's at.
Yeah.
4 might move up a slot if I was feeling generous, but yeah, the top 3 are totally could be interchanged at a moment's notice. But for the purpose of right now, I will say 1, 4, 6, 2, 3,
3, okay.
and 5.
5's your favorite.
5 was my favorite. Because it was such a moment of
just you feeling so good
just
about
me
yourself.
feeling so good about myself. No. of this payoff that I was never really sure if we were going to get or not. And I everyone is right. There are certainly issues with how they went about it or how it could have been done a little bit better. But I think when we're talking about encapsulating emotion, like with episode 3, this did a great job of making me feel panicked for characters, of making, me feel the desolate landscape. And the fucking Clegane Bowl was so good. And I thought that this was one of the better Dragon episodes as far as visuals go and stuff like that. So it was intense all around, and I didn't want it to stop. All the while throwing in the emotion with Jaime and Cersei, with Jon. So I really liked episode 5 a lot.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said,
and we fucking killed Euron Greyjoy.
Finally. Even though I'm not happy about how he went out, but I think they're all really close, especially the top 3 for me.
Yep.
Now, the harder question, possibly, or maybe the easier one, I don't know. How would you rank the seasons as a whole? Would you like quick refreshers as to how you currently stand?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go.
You know what's hilarious is if I had to guess how I rank the seasons, I don't even know if I'd guess it right.
Here, hold on. Let me flip back and we can find out.
Jeremy, do you think
Hans,
you could guess?
If you just had to, off the top of your dome, say
yeah,
what
you
you've ranked
can't
the
really
season.
think about it. You just gotta like point blank.
Oh
just fire it
nope,
off.
nope. I'd be like 1 through 7, go in that order, and then no. God,
Shit, I can't even remember. I get the seasons mixed up.
that's my problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my problem at this point. Is
I think 6 is my favorite.
6 is all of our favorites.
Yeah.
As it currently stands.
has to be. I think that's
including
okay.
Rob.
Really?
Is it 6 and then 1, 2, 4?
This is just gonna be a bunch of people saying numbers.
I'm trying to think. So is 5 my worst or 3?
No,
my
1
worst?
is your worst.
1 is my worst. Oh my fucking god! That's what. Just tell me it so I can write it down on my phone. So I can
Yeah,
write it
I
down.
don't want to play
Yeah,
this
yeah.
game anymore.
This game sucks. You're an asshole.
So here, I'll give you a quick, 1-2 words of what each season is.
Oh, sure. That'll
Okay.
help.
Season 1, Ned Stark.
Yep.
Season 2, Renly and Stannis.
Yeah.
Season 3, Rob dies.
Season 4. Rob
Season
lives.
4, I have to go back and look because Season 4, Mountain and the Viper, Tyrion's trial.
Great.
Season 5, fucking High Sparrow. Season 6, everything. The frickin' Battle of the Bastards. Frickin' Explosion of the Sept. Lots of shit. Big shit. Season 7, basically a whole heck of a lot of teleportation and setup. And that sweet battle with the loot train. Those got a little bit less concise as we went along. So Hans, you and I are very close right now. We both have going from best to worst. We both have season 6, season 3, and then we flip-flop. I have it going 4-1. You have it going 1-4.
Gotcha.
And then we both have 7-2-5. Jeremy,
Go.
you have 6, 3, 4, 7, 5, 2, 1. They're all pretty close, except that you just took one and you threw it way to the end. And then Rob, for anyone who's interested, is kind of a nice little hybrid of all of us. He goes 6, 3, 4, 7, 5, 1, 2. And Jen has never played, so we don't know.
I can already tell you where I put season 8. Like, I just look, if I stick with this list, which the 1 and 2 thing are rough for me, but I would put it. It would be
Here,
six.
give me your full list, because you can switch anything if you want to.
Okay, so I would do 6, 3, 4, 7, 8, 5, 1, 2.
6, 3, 4, 7, 8, 5, 1, 2.
Yep.
Okay. Now, so this does. I'll ask it after everyone's gone.
Okay.
Hans?
Yeah, so I would do 6, 3, 1, 4, 8, 7, 2, 5. So basically, the final season would be between little worse than 4, but better than 7.
Okay. I would go 6, 3, 4, 1.
Ooh, really?
8, 7, 2, 5.
So our lists remain very similar.
Yes.
We only have 1 and 4 flipped.
8, 7, 2, 5. Yeah. So this is as I said, we put a lot of expectation on the last season. The answer to the question wasn't yes. This didn't have to be the best season to be a good ending. But I think the agreements that we did come to, courtesy of I think Rob's prompting, was that it had to be better than season 7. And Jeremy, you are saying that it is not.
Yeah. And again, I think that just goes back to kind of like my expectations of what I wanted. But to answer that question, though, I had a huge conversation recently with someone about this who's read the books, and his father had also read the books but had not watched a single bit of the show because he did not want the show to ruin the books for him, which is something I've struggled with after now seeing the show.
Sure.
This is still the greatest show, in my opinion, that I've ever seen on television. This show is so good because it has such a good beginning and story to build from. And despite the diversion, despite the loss of Martin for seasons and all those things, that does not take away from this creation that is it's great writing, it's great cinematography, it's great acting, and there are moments in this show which I feel like just be like people probably felt like Godfather, like lines that we'll hear like, you know nothing, Jon Snow. But I mean, I mean that facetiously, but I'm saying, like, I feel like there's such a connection to this. I feel like Game of Thrones is going to be Harry Potter like, Star Trek like, Star Wars like, for the reason that it is transcending just being a show and a book. And that's how I feel about this show, despite season 8. And I feel like, people got weird about the whole conversation about, the names and trying to get a rewrite for season 8. I thought that meant actually a great respect to the show of like, hey, we don't want this because we don't want this to end as much as we don't want this, if that makes sense.
I mean, I think it came from certainly a place of that emotion. I will not call it respect for the show.
No.
I think it was incredibly disrespectful.
But I mean, I still feel like there was a. I mean, I'm sure if you go back and look at other big shows like, probably Battlestar. I don't know. I thought Battlestar Galactica ended really well. But I'm sure there are disgruntled fans only for the very fact that the show ends, right?
Sure. I'm sure.
I remember when Friends ended, I remember people flipped the fuck out about that ending. And we've talked about How I Met Your Mother, how people flipped, rightfully so, we probably would agree on that. How that
It was a
ended.
crappy ending. Yeah.
But I still don't feel like that ending made that show less good,
Still a great show.
right?
Yeah.
If anything, I feel like Game of Thrones still probably the greatest show to me, but would have been something that would have never been able to have been touched in conversation if season 8 was the pinnacle, right? If season 8 had gotten to that pinnacle, fuck the rest of television probably for the rest of my life.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And that's all I'm saying.
So, Jeremy, you have a lot of praise here. You said best TV show ever. Are you including Ballers?
No, so Ballers is not done yet, so I can't end that.
And I mean, come on, Ballers isn't really a TV show; it's a lifestyle.
It's
choice.
a lifestyle choice, yeah. I was thinking more like maybe NBA Wives of Atlanta.
Oh God,
Ooh,
nailed.
God,
Yes,
so good,
Queen.
so good. Yeah, I don't know. I think we have. I mean, we can talk about films and just some just transcending kind of things. I mean, episode 8 is one of those things that's just so good for Star Wars. But fuck
Careful
you, Tony. No, I don't know. I don't think anyone's gonna ever be able to look back at Game of Thrones and talk shit about it as a series. If they do, then they're missing the fucking point of the show, and they should have fucking, read the books and fucking die.
Yeah, I think that is, if we had to sum it up into a log line, it could have been
Yeah,
it could have been way better,
yeah,
but it did not end badly.
right.
No.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I am in 100% agreement with you. I think this is the best show I have ever watched.
Yeah, it really is.
If I were to compile a ranking, this has been number 1 for years. This is the first show that I show anybody on first dates if it comes round to, what's your favorite I'm pushing Game of Thrones here, people, because me expanding the viewership of the show is more important than me actually finding a mate. I could say Family Feud and she could be like, "Oh, he just likes to, he likes to laugh," and then, we could get it on, make a couple kids. But no, I say Game of Thrones because I like the drama. And then we don't meet again, but she watches the show, and that's the important part.
And he almost exclusively ends that in bitch.
It's Game of Thrones, bitch. And this was a question I was going to actually ask in the series recap, but we're 2 for 3, so I might as well just throw it out there. Because I don't think it's Hans's number 1, but Hans, if you had to assign a numerical value to Game of Thrones as to where it falls in your top TV shows.
Oh shit. Well, it might be up there though, because I can't think of a TV. I don't know if it's my favorite. I think there's movies I like better.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily say that there's TV shows that I think is better than Game of Thrones, just because it's just the production value alone, the story. It's freaking.
I mean, like Breaking Bad.
Good.
I don't think you were a big Breaking Bad fan.
Nah,
right?
didn't even get through the first season.
Walking Dead again. I don't think another thing that you ever got into.
So what
like
would
The
be
Office?
shows? What would be shows? Yeah, I think The Office still beats it out for me.
Okay.
But it's hard to compare. I'm just more of a comedy. Like it's so.
Yeah.
I just watch The Office
yeah.
so much. It's
not
just so
you
easy
saying
to
that
put
it's
on.
better. Just
Yeah, it's just my preference. But if I had to say as objective as I could, which is impossible, obviously. But if I had to say what is the best show, I would probably say Game of Thrones. But my favorite show is The Office, hands down.
So from a completely subjective point of view, where would you put it? In your top 5?
Oh yeah, it's probably 2 or 3. I'd have to think
Okay.
about it because it's probably The Office, Game of Thrones.
Parks and Rec.
I don't know.
It is tough.
It's so tough. I wasn't ready for this. I
wasn't going to ask it.
Yeah.
South Park. Family
I'm just
Guy.
gonna end it at The Office and then Game of Thrones.
The Office of Game of Thrones. Jeremy, what's your number 2?
Let's see. That's tougher for me.
I need just a list of
man.
all shows ever
I know.
made.
I was. That's so hard.
I also don't think I have an answer.
I grew up watching Friends with my family. Like, that was like a big deal in my family, that show. So like, I think I have rose-colored glasses for that. Battlestar Galactica would probably be 2 for me. But if I think about like memories of my life and family, I would probably put Friends up there.
Nice.
I don't know. I loved that comedy drama, and that was like when a group of people was funny, and that kind of led to other shows. I would argue, like Big Bang and all those things that kind of came after that are very much more. Seinfeld. Fuck, I forget about Seinfeld all the time. I fucking love Seinfeld.
I've never really watched it.
Oh, it was great to me.
Never watched Frasier either. I know a lot of people are big fans.
I was never a Frasier fan.
I'm okay with Frasier. I don't like Seinfeld. I'm all right with Frasier.
I've never been one to really think Jerry Seinfeld's that funny. But
No, and I think I saw somebody who broke it down very well. And I'm trying to remember where this was. I apologize, I can't cite him. But it goes to my theory of like, I don't do choice video games very well. Like in video games where you have to make choices, I don't make bad choices. I have a little bit too much of an empathetic connection to media to where like I tried to play a Skyrim game where I just killed everyone and I got really upset. Like I was fine killing them, but the second you're in that Dark Brotherhood quest line, you kill fucking the hunter dude in Whiterun.
Spoilers.
And then and then you go into the shop that he ran with his brother, and his brother calls you like an asshole, and I quit that game.
Shit.
Because I was so bummed. I was like, oh. And so Seinfeld, like the Seinfeld characters are bad people, and they're just straight up like sociopathic assholes, and I just can never connect with that. And so I'm just like, it never resonated with me.
Yeah, I have a really hard time. So there's some it's a style of comedy, no doubt, and I understand it. But and I think I can handle it in small doses, but I have a really hard time getting behind shows where like nothing good happens. You know what I mean? Like, or like the episode will, the general framework is almost always the same, where these people who are either just generally bad people or not always, but they have something happen where you think something really good's going to happen, but by the end of the episode, they bring it back around and just, it always ends poorly. They get higher, they get like, they're friends with someone, they meet someone famous and become friends with them or like something, and then all of a sudden they just do something really stupid and terrible, which then just tanks them back down to the ground. And I have a really hard time watching things that are just generally like depressing or like like you're saying, that are just bad people. I just can't really get behind that.
Yeah. I will say for Game of Thrones, with respect given to, you could just go vague and go like dark, gritty, pseudo-realistic like fantasy, and with exception given for like especially in the first 6 seasons, that kind of trajectory of set up 1 through 6, build in 7, explode 8 and 9, and then kind of cool down in 10. Except for that season structure, I don't think that Game of Thrones in any sort of traceable, or at least overly traceable way, drew like a template from anything, but I also don't think it made enough of a template that you could follow. And I don't mean to say like it was just all over the place, but I think that they just kind of they took their story and they told it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work as well, but I don't think you could say, hey, let's make a show like Game of Thrones.
Sure.
I don't think you could just do that. Even if they gave you a bunch of money, you couldn't just say like, well, let's just recreate Game of Thrones in a different setting or in whatever. I don't think you could do it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think Game of Thrones, even speaking to what we were just kind of talking about, Game of Thrones has characters that are unlikable, even as far as like a protagonist standpoint, and characters shift back and forth a little bit. We talk about that in the show quite a bit, as far as when they want you to like a character and they make it obvious and things like that. But Jaime's a perfect example, right? He's almost an antagonist at first, or he is an antagonist at first, and then he kind of shifts into a more likable character, but still does bad things. But there's always like good qualities to him or likable components that keep you there. And I think a perfect example of what I was trying to say as far as shows that I can watch sometimes, and I think they're well written, I think they're funny, but I just I could never rank them highly because of just of how terrible the people generally are. I think Always Sunny is a perfect example, right? Like, I think it's a very funny show. I think they have really well written episodes. I think the characters can be really funny, but it's exhausting to watch that show because they're just horrible human beings. And that's kind of the bit, but it's just hard to watch.
Yeah. It's taxing a little bit.
Yeah. Whereas, Game of Thrones has got a nice mix. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, great show.
I was gonna say, I mean, so that's the problem I think with shows in general. Comedies get a bad rap, I think, of being like, oh, the writing is not as complex and character development isn't as good as these drama series. And I feel like sometimes it's people want to do listed a group drama and comedy and maybe, horror. I mean, horror has another bad rap in general when it comes to that sort of thing. Which is why I think the objective and subjective was a good way of doing this. Because I feel like for a show, for development of characters over time, you could look at Godfather. You could look at, what was the Baltimore...
Are you talking about Sopranos?
Yeah, sorry, I keep going Godfather. Yeah. Sorry. What was the Baltimore crime show that was... Oh, shit, I can't think of the name of it.
The Wire?
The Wire?
The Wire, yeah. I mean, I feel like, so those sort of things, those intimate dramas, characters are developed, it's just a different approach to that. It's a different genre, so it feels, I think, much more deep and complex. But, I really feel like The Office, you learn to love these characters in a very similar way through a different type of media.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Or maybe media isn't the word I want to use. A different type of approach to this media.
Yeah. So, for example, I've heard a lot of people say that True Detective season 1. Now, granted, it's tough because it's more of an episodic series than a true, full-on contiguous series. So I've heard people say that is, some of the best television ever made.
Sure.
Have you guys watched it?
No. You watched it backwards, right?
I watched the finale on accident. We talked to great lengths about it. So I kind of
watched it.
I ruined it for
it's
myself. But yeah, I've heard it's phenomenal. I wonder if it's got to be up there on some people's list when you're talking about just sheer dramas. Because if I had to, again, it's hard. It's so hard to compare comedy and drama. So I think if I had to say my favorite drama, I'd probably pick Game of Thrones.
Yeah. There are... I haven't watched the big ones, any of the other HBO ones, The Wire, The Sopranos, I haven't watched. Breaking Bad, I don't even think Breaking Bad would give it a run for its money in my book, but Breaking Bad was great. Mm-hmm. For sure. Black Mirror, I put some episodes of Black Mirror up at the top of television, but it's very episodic. I couldn't hold the whole series up anywhere near Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So I have another question for you. Well, but to piggyback off of that thought, my thing with Game of Thrones is, there's probably seasons of other shows that I think are phenomenal, or I think were really, really good. And I think a lot of shows maybe start off really strong, or potentially, somewhere get really strong. But I don't know if any of them are as consistent as Game of Thrones. Because even seasons I don't like in Game of Thrones, they're still top tier television, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think we touched on this a little bit in the last couple episodes. When I eventually go back and rewatch, I'm not going to skip things.
No, for sure.
Even season 5,
yeah,
I'm not going to skip it.
And I'll tell you, I do skip episodes of The Office. So
yeah, I skipped
saying something.
I skipped the last 2 episodes of How I Met Your Mother every time.
Yep, absolutely. And everyone skips the last season or 2 of Scrubs. Rightfully so.
The last season for sure. Just pretend that doesn't exist. Problem is, Scrubs kind of ended okay before that shit.
Yeah. What's your guilty pleasure show?
What's my guilty pleasure show?
What's a show that you know is just bad, but you still like watching
it? So I have so few now. My guilty pleasure now is YouTube shit.
Okay.
I think. Just because, like, before, it was easy when I could turn on the TV. Not having cable kills the TV. But back in the day, I mean, I would anything on Food Network or
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, or fucking Say Yes to the Dress.
Oh, God, that is so good.
Because my mom would turn it on, and I would just be sitting there, like I'd walk into the room, and I'd be like, whatever. And then she would leave, and I would not change the channel for a couple of hours.
I think you could argue like any reality television type show, any game show, any
Ooh, yeah.
anything on MTV.
Ooh, yeah. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember that MTV dating show? I can't remember what it was called, but it was
Next.
just no, not Next.
The one where
Next
the
was
parents,
great.
the one where the parents pick the
Yes,
pick
the
the
parents
date.
one.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
terrible. That's what. Okay, that show's premise makes no sense. So you're putting up a new person against someone they're already dating.
They have
That is
complete
just
control.
ridiculous. So no matter how that ends, you're not. There's no way that ends well. Because even if they picked the girlfriend, the fact that he was even considering it and went on a date with someone while he's dating this other chick and she watched is not going to end well. Or he.
Well, I mean, he probably made $40-50 for doing the show, so
Yeah, no kidding. You know what my guilty pleasure show is?
I want to.
Can't get enough of it. Ancient Aliens. I freaking love that shit.
I
Eat
knew
it
that
up.
was coming.
My dad is super into Ancient Aliens, but it's like to the point where, you know, he'll be talking about it or we'll be watching it or something, and I can't quite tell what he's watching ironically and what he's not. Like, I think overall he watches the show to, like, just kind of laugh at it. But there are bits where I think we diverge, where I'm going, like, yeah, I'm shaking my head and laughing, and he's just going, like, could be.
That could be. No, talk about top tier television.
It's great stuff. Is it still on?
Yeah, it's funny enough, it's now off of the History Channel.
Oh, no way.
It's moved away from the History Channel. I think it's now on A&E. But
Yeah.
Hulu's got all them seasons.
Oh, of course. Can you do you want to do a drinking game at one point where you just take a shot every time you hear the word ancient astronaut theorist?
No, I think you got to do a shot. So not even then. You just have to do a shot every time he says, "Is it possible?" And then he does the same line every time. He goes, "Is it possible that whatever that Christopher Columbus was an alien?" And then he goes, "Ancient astronaut theorists say yes."
I looked at a lot of colleges, never saw any ancient astronaut theology programs.
Oh, it's coming. Some of them are even more. Ancient astronaut theorists say a resounding yes.
Jeremy, your guilty pleasure show.
I was thinking about that. I would say This Old House.
I was gonna say like maybe like a House Hunters thing.
Oh yeah.
This Old House. I don't know what it is about my obsession with. I think it's because my dad's a mechanic, my grandfather's a carpenter, my twin is kind of like both of those things. All of my friends who I grew up with in Southern Ohio are all very good at building and things. And then there's me, who like I get electronics, I get computers, all that stuff I can do no problem. You give me a hammer and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna ruin shit. That's not a 90-degree angle at all. Where the fuck did that nail go? I fired that gun. So
I was kind of hoping Jeremy's Southern Ohio family tree was gonna get a little more complex.
Nope.
My twin cousin's sister bride.
So yeah, no, I like watching shows where people build things. I've always liked that stuff because I think I have a huge amount of respect for people who do trade work, because where we grew up very academic of like learn, memorize, and then sometimes I feel like even in medicine, you work all day and then I feel like, did I do anything that makes me feel like I accomplished anything today? Where compare that to where if you're building a home and you're like, oh, well, I put a foundation in. Like maybe that's more of like I physically see what I did and therefore I have a good feeling about it.
Sure.
And so I think the trades have always just been interesting to me. But then every time I've attempted to do something along those things, I just suck. So yeah, those are my guilty pleasures.
Yeah, I hear you 100%. I'm not so confident that I've really ever done anything. Get paid way too much.
I mean, just to take an official Thrones and Scones stance here, trade workers, fuck them. Oh, I'm kidding, of course. I like this. I like this push that I am seeing, where people are doing like the whole. Not that our high school did this at all, but if they do like a signing ceremony where you sign with your college, where they're doing that for trades and doing that for military and stuff now, and just kind of presenting more of the option. The options have always been there. But I don't know about you guys, but it just kind of always seems like, oh, okay, I got to pick a college now.
Yeah. It did seem very like set in stone. But anyway, you guys want to get back to Game of Thrones a little bit?
Absolutely. Season 8 of Game of Thrones. We have pretty much all put it pretty handedly in the middle. Everybody had it 4th from the top, 5th from the bottom, as it were. And we'll hit a lot more next week in our series recap with Rob. But I do believe, if we still want to do it now, that we have a score to settle here.
We absolutely do.
We placed some bets, the three of us, Rob and Jenna as well, as to who would be alive and who would be dead at the end of Game of Thrones, right before Season 8 started. And we established 2 weeks back that we, as a show, won majority rules style. We had 22 guesses correct and 13 incorrect, which is not too bad.
Doing pretty good. So you guys ready for the scores?
Yeah, I'll make an official little scoreboard here so we can see who came in what place. I mean, you already have it written down, but just for my notebook, if we ever sell this notebook to somebody.
For sure. The game is who did.
Is who did what?
Who did?
Oh, who did?
Who did?
Who did?
But you got points for if you got it right if they're alive too, so it's a poor name for the game. Anyone want to take a guess at who came in last?
I think... I bet you...
Give you a hint, it was
Jeremy.
a tie.
If it was a tie, it was maybe me and you. Hans and me.
It was me and Jenna.
I think Jenna won.
Oh, fuck that. Jesus,
it was Jenna and Tony
Oh, shit.
that came in last with a 51% correct. So that's 18 correct.
Ouch. Okay.
Okay.
Last. Noted.
Now next up, actually, you guys want to take a guess at? I'll just read them off.
Because we were so all over the place.
Yeah, you're so all over the place. You're never gonna get. Rob came in next, 57% correct.
Okay.
Which was 20 correct. So it's actually pretty close. He only got 2 more right.
3rd place.
Now, the question is it Jeremy or I who won?
I bet
Jenna
it's
did this
Jeremy.
game, I swear to God.
Jeremy?
Oh, I have a God complex. I won.
Yeah, you did, you piece of shit. With a 69%.
Oh, fuck. This is literally the best day ever. First, I found out that Jeremy means I have a huge cock and I have an obsession with so many hoes. It is great.
Yeah, 24 correct.
Nice.
And I came in at 63% or 22 right.
Not even close.
So 2
I
behind.
mean, it was pretty close, but...
So yeah, the spread was really only six points.
Yeah, 6 points out of a possible 35.
35. Yep, 35.
Not too shabby. Now, did you happen to go back through all the episodes and make tallies as to who got the most right in terms of what would happen and plot points and stuff like that?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Just seems like maybe a couple people could have made up some ground there. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, at least for the last season, I think you freaking nailed it, Jeremy.
Well done,
I don't.
well done.
I think I don't like. Again, we said. I think while he was trailing off into the distance, I don't know about you guys. I saw John's arms fall completely
fall
off.
off. Frostbite or something, man.
Yeah. So well done, Jimmy. Well done.
In listening back to that predictions episode, that might have been like the most genuine laughter I've ever had on this show. Was maybe John's arms will fall off.
It was a bold prediction.
It was a very
Give him
bold
that.
prediction.
Give him that. Yeah.
Well done, Jeremy.
Thank
So let
you.
me ask you guys. Now that it's all over, there's that petition out there. Do you want, not necessarily in that form, but would you want more Game of Thrones? Or are you content with what we've had?
Are you saying, like, in the idea of redoing things or continuing on?
So it can be anything. Do you think we got enough Game of Thrones, or would you, for example, wish we got a season before the finale season, like maybe 9 seasons?
I think.
Or do you think this was the right number?
I
of
don't
seasons?
think they had 2 seasons worth of stuff. A lot of people said they did. I wish this season was 10 episodes.
Sure.
I think they could have done that easily. I would always love more Game of Thrones. Had they tried to stretch it into 2 seasons, I would have been on board. I am much happier that it ended this way rather than trailing off to the point where there are seasons that I would skip, where it's just like, it's nowhere near, but like The Walking Dead, where if you were just to show me the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead, first 3 seasons maybe, I'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking into this show. To where now, like, episodes could come out, and I don't even care to Wikipedia what happens at this point. Like,
No.
I don't give a shit about The Walking Dead.
No.
And I'm so glad that I didn't even come close to having that mentality about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think that I would say the exact same thing. Even just maybe a couple more episodes in the final season, just to have some time, just to have a little more, I guess a little more downtime, just to flesh some of these characters out a little bit more, because I did feel like some of them got a little rushed there. For example, like Bronn, just give him a little more of an arc to make his what was the point of what they did? It was like they just put him in there to have him in there because they probably didn't have time to give him anything real.
Honestly, just a scene, and I like, I get that his intro in the scene is like to surprise Jamie. Just a scene of Bronn in the hallway, like looking reluctant, might have done it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you needed to have 12 extra minutes of Bronn development for him to get to that point. Like, but something.
Yeah, for sure.
Or like that he was an asshole in that situation because he was trying to motivate them to do something, right? Like, it just seemed so distasteful.
Yeah.
That I wanted an explanation, either good or bad. I wanted something for me.
It's very weird also. I know there's a lot of contentious things about this season. For all the things that people are pointing out that they think are flaws, I'm seeing very little discussion about Bronn.
Really?
Yeah. It's just not really a thing that... And I get, in the scheme of things, it's pretty minimal.
Yeah.
But I feel like he was a pretty fan favorite character.
I would think so. They made him out to be super likable. So it was kind of a weird turn there. Quick turn. Jeremy, so I could probably guess a little bit. Does that mean you want more Game of Thrones, or you would have wanted more Game of Thrones? Like more episodes?
absolutely.
Or would you want
Absolutely.
another season wedged in there?
No, I mean, looking at like the 6 episodes, I think we could have gone 10 episodes in this season, and I would have been happy with it. And
Sure.
I mean, I know that everyone could argue that. Everyone said, "Oh, yeah, you said 1, you would have wanted 2." Everyone would just keep going and going and going.
Sure.
I just think at the end there felt like such an opportunity for story to make me feel like, yes, I get this. I understand this a little bit more. And the book is going to give us, and we don't even know how the book's going to end, but I think we're going to have things that just make make a lot of the knots in my stomach feel like, oh, okay, thank God someone's explained that, because that's all I wanted was just like a fucking conversation of like why this character really said this, because it doesn't make sense up until that point.
Sure.
And I don't.
So, I mean, do you have strong, like, medication on hand? Because
Yeah.
what realistically,
Yeah.
when do you think the books will end?
Oh, what do you mean? Are you asking?
Because we've got. I mean, I know we don't even have a release date for The Winds of Winter. There is another book.
Yeah.
After that.
So from what I understand, like, let me understand this. So when he wrote the last book and now Winds of Winter, he initially wrote them together, I thought, right? Wasn't it supposed to be one book?
I think the previous two were supposed to be one book, because Feast for Crows and Dance of Dragons happened at the same time.
Yeah.
Just with different characters.
But I don't know. For some reason, I thought that this one was like that way. I think we get Winds of Winter within a year of now. So either this fall or into next kind of like spring.
Yeah. Probably will have a summer release date.
Yes.
Winds of Winter.
Yeah, probably.
And then I don't know if he'll finish the books. I think this easily with his health. I would not
in that bad of health.
I know. I just don't trust. I don't trust authors that say they're not in bad health and then they all end up dying of heart attacks. I feel like, and he's doing other things which pisses me off. The whole rumors about him being involved in game development, like that made me irate when I heard that. I'm like, why the fuck are you doing this? Like, you have millions and millions of fans. You have more money than God.
I feel like he doesn't have that much money.
Oh, really? You don't?
I think he's doing okay, but when did the first book come out? Quick trivia question. Titled A Game of Thrones.
Wasn't it 10 years ago?
So your guess is 2009?
That's wrong. I'm gonna say 2006.
You are 20 years off.
Really?
1996.
Jesus Christ, I don't know why I don't know that.
Clash of Kings 1998, Storm of Swords 2000. Then we start taking big jumps. Feast for Crows 2005, Dance of Dragons 2011. So it has been 8 years since the last book.
Only 10 years off, right? 1996.
Oh, to 2006. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh god.
No,
sorry.
No big deal. No big deal. But yeah, I'll probably have to read the book someday. I'll just wait. I'll binge them.
You binge the books. You go, well, yeah, you can buy. I mean, already they have cool looking collections. I bet when they're all out, they'll have.
Oh, it's gonna be nuts.
Baller looking collections.
You'll get a fucking real dragon with it.
You guys, how much do you think? How much do you think they're gonna sell Game of Thrones DVD box sets for?
It's gonna be. What do you think? Blu-rays or HD DVDs?
Blu-rays.
What's coming? You think it? You think HD DVD is coming back around?
I do not. Maybe 3D DVD.
It's gonna be a lot. Multiple hundreds, probably 200, 199.
What was when it first came out? I know that's like sitting around like $90-$100 now, but when the first thing of the Star Wars 6 movie Blu-ray came out, wasn't it like $300?
I have no idea. I can't remember. They're pretty down there now. I know you can at least get the original trilogy for like. Usually you can get that for like $30.
Yeah, it's not
these
bad.
Days.
So I think, yeah, Game of Thrones, what do they sell the original seasons for? Like $80, something like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
When they come out?
It's always really inflated when they first come out.
And that would be $640 if they were to charge $80 for every season. And part of me says, well, okay, but the first few seasons are not that expensive anymore. They're probably pretty cheap. But also, if they're going to do some sort of collector thing, I would not say it would be out of the box for them to charge $400 or $500 for a Game of Thrones box set. I will not pay that, but I bet you it will exist.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because, I mean, they would be dumb of them to put it out for... They want people to do the subscription service. Anyway, so, like, why... And if you get to if you get to permanently have it for a set of money, they're gonna have that sucker high. So I think that's probably right, because I don't really buy any TV series on DVD or especially Blu-ray. Although even like some of those, because for a while I was interested in getting like make me sound like a nerd. I was interested in getting the like the Universe box set because I don't have cable anymore.
Okay.
And that for a while wasn't on the streaming services at all. And even that was pretty pricey. And like I can't imagine that many people are wanting to buy that.
No, it's so specific, right?
Yeah.
So the season 1 through 7 box set is like less than $100.
That's not bad at all. Wait, DVDs or Blu-rays?
DVDs. So fair point.
What's the how much the VHS is going for?
Probably thousands of dollars.
There's one box set of VHSs.
Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 7 Blu-rays, $112.
That's not bad at all.
Really not bad.
Shit.
Would you buy a Game of Thrones box set? And if so, how much would you be willing to pay?
Well, I think they should sell it for $100.
Yeah, I would be willing to pay. If it was the whole box set, $100, sure. That's not bad.
It's really not. I think, yeah, I would buy it for $100, easy. $200, I would consider it probably, but I'd probably wait and see if it was like a cool Christmas present and then buy it afterwards.
Yeah, it'd have to come with some cool bonus stuff.
Ooh, also true. Like maybe we could see the other half of Arya's boob.
The other side boob.
Jeremy, any final thoughts? You've been a little quiet here.
Yeah, sorry. Dealing with on-call things. You know, I think the one thing I would say about this show, we're going to talk about more in our series at the end, but Game of Thrones has given, I think, a generation another rallying point on what we can ask for television to give us, right? I mean, technology, we can talk about that in the sense of like the CG and all that stuff, which I'll be honest, I still think looks pretty shitty in the show a lot of times, right? And that didn't ruin the show. I mean, there are times when it was bad that it should have detracted, I think, from that. But there are also moments where I'm just like, as shitty as that looks, it's perfect in the show. Yeah. And so I think, like, as this has shown, you can take great books, you can take great stories, and you can create amazing shows from them. And I'm hoping we see more of that. Because there are books out there that deserve to be brought to more people than just those of us that are nerds and read in libraries, right? Like, that's like my big thing with this show is like, I hope more people read because of it. I hope they get that the books are always better. But if they don't, I hope that writers and HBO, Showtime, these mega corporations that have great budgets start to develop these shows. I mean, I'm really hoping Netflix does things like this because I feel like that's what television needs to be.
Do you think they're going to try to pick up? I mean, I know that there have been a couple, in the wake of the books, there have been a couple book series that have tried to do this, and some people, I think most people agree, have done it quite well. You get some people that say books like, is it Stormlight Archives, Brandon Sanderson, that do it better. I've read the first Brandon Sanderson book. I don't think it does it better than Game of Thrones, but it's a very
Which one did
interesting.
You read?
What?
Which book did you read? The Mythborn or Stormlight or which one?
Stormlight.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was good. It's higher fantasy for sure. But I think that I wonder if that is what networks are going to try to do, because I almost think they won't. Just looking at Game of Thrones, yes, it was phenomenally successful, but the factors that it took. I mean, not only getting the cast that I think we've talked 100 times about this was pretty spot on from, stem to stern, pretty great all throughout. And then also, especially after the halfway point, like it's so expensive to make. And now with the societal pressure on every single episode, I don't know if that's what we're going to see TV doing. I mean, I think it's what HBO is going to try to do again, just because they've always tried to kind of have this flagship thing. But it's a lot of eggs to throw in one basket.
And I think we've talked about it before. I don't there's not a lot of big budget, and I would even argue like medium budget fantasy shows or movies.
Right.
Like you get the Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. I mean, Netflix is kind of trying to do it, I would say, with the Witcher series. But I mean, other than that, there's not a lot of like flagship fantasy movies. You don't just get like a lot of B level like drama, action, fantasy that's for adults, right?
Right.
So, we're all Star Wars fans here. Let's just be honest, right? We are. The Star Wars universe, look what it's created. Look at the television shows, the animation, all those things. To me, Game of Thrones had the potential, and still does now with us getting some prequel stuff and maybe some other storylines, like a world with dragons, the whole Targaryen history, all of that stuff. That's super interesting.
It's great.
And I'm hoping they do something with that. Because while there is magic and there's the old gods and then the children of the forest, like all this stuff that come on, like we want to know. We want that. We want storylines. We want history. We want that. And so I feel like Game of Thrones is that Star Wars like kind of world that was created, and it was created in a show. Which is interesting because so many of these huge shows they do a movie, at some point. Would you want that? Because I don't.
I think I said at some point, I wish the last episode would just be a movie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I think I backpedal on that at this point.
Yeah, I think you got to be careful though, because to me, with a lot of this stuff, and I would say Star Wars is a perfect example actually that you brought up, is if you take away too much, if you start fleshing out too much and take away too much mystery, or start trying to explain things, then things become less cool.
Oh,
and you get a midichlorian situation.
Sure. And I mean, Game of Thrones in particular, I'm looking forward to whatever they're going to actually be releasing. I'm sure I will watch. But so much of Game of Thrones' greatness was not only building up with these characters, but building and growing with the world. I mean, we actually saw changes in how the world progressed and operated with the reintroduction of magic and the build of that and the intro of these forces and legacies that spanned centuries, falling and toppling and being created, coming to light. I'm 100% confident in saying that however good these prequels, sequels, whatever they're going to do are, they can't touch Game of Thrones.
True.
I don't think that they have a stone's throw possibility of being anywhere near as good. I think they can be great. I think they can be good. But I think like best case scenario we're looking for is like Rogue One to the original trilogy. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. Would never try to claim that it could compete with like Empire or something like that.
Right.
Absolutely. I think I'd like to maybe, we've been talking a lot about our rankings and stuff for the series. And what might be kind of cool for the series recap is if we get some, we can ask for some listener submissions on their rankings of the seasons. And maybe do a little tally and see what the composite audience consensus
and maybe
is.
tear them apart and berate them for being stupid.
We could love to do that. We have had great listener interaction when we asked for it.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah, the places you could get a hold of us. All of our social medias are yours to peruse. And we've got our email as well, thrones and scones, spell it all out, at gmail.com. You can send us mail electronically. Don't send us mail. Well, you could send it to Hans's apartment. He lives in...
it will still get stolen.
Trust me, Tony. They know. They know.
They know. Oh. We would love to hear, or anything. Yeah, absolutely. Give us your seasons, your ranking of seasons, best to worst. If you have any, qualifying thoughts you want to get in there, absolutely send them our way. And anything that you would like us, as well as Rob, who last I checked will still be joining us if his schedule permits, for our series recap, which should be coming to you. Not preventing. Fuck, guys, this has been going for a while. I'm just going to cut this out. I have to think of the word. What's the word? Fuck me.
Please don't cut this out. This is comedy gold.
I'll wait, Tony.
So what I want to say is like, literally all I can think of is impending, which is not the word. It's like
is it like depending?
No, like so. We'll have the episode out next Wednesday. Blank any other natural disasters.
Pending.
Is it just pending?
It is just pending.
Prohibiting.
No,
Does that make sense?
Pending any natural... No. That sounds like we are wanting natural disasters. Fuck.
And that's why we podcast. Because this on video would be epic.
Okay, but like, are you down with GOT?
Yeah, you know me.
You know me.
Fuck me. I'm going to Google it.
That's fine.
I don't know how I'm going to Google it.
No.
Words. Opposite.
Pending.
Antonym of impending. But I don't think that's the word I want. No, guys, I don't know, man. My brain farted hard. Like, accepting would be kind of the word, but not really.
Yeah, no idea.
I don't know.
Tech decks are great. I think Kyle had like the tech deck ramp, so you could do like the whole half pipe thing.
Oh, for sure.
Which was sweet. Of course, grinding down like banisters and shit. Classic stuff, really.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I had the Tech Deck Street Park.
We had the street park.
Oh my god. Never mind. I can't even believe I tried to step to your tech deck game.
So many places to grind. So many.
I want to say there were like I don't know what they were called, but there were like bikes as well. Finger bikes. You could like whoosh, they were bikes.
I had those too. That's pretty sweet.
So
I think I even had like a finger scooter.
And then your finger skateboard kicked his ass.
Yeah.
I too have fingered on a scooter.
Yeah. Except for the other hands are really mean to that one.
What are you gonna do? Bar spin?
Kind of a friggin' nerd.
Oh, what was sad is when we were at the skateboard store and we're looking at decks and things like that, and then the guy is talking to Ethan, and Ethan sees one of the fingerboard things, and he's like, "Oh, that's the sweetest skateboard in your shop."
That's like, I mean, that's a kind of a dream as a parent. Like, you just got out of spending hundreds of dollars on a hobby for like, a casual $20 every now and then.
Yeah, I already spent the money. That's the fucking problem.
You already bought the skateboard?
Oh yeah, we started out with this like $9 skateboard from like a whatever Play It Again Sports thing, which it wasn't even me who brought this up. Emily brought this up, which I was like, "Oh, you're so cool. That's awesome." I mean, Ethan's gonna die. That's cool. And then the wheels were really bad. Like they were rough, and I thought, "Oh, we probably need to change the bearings or something." Then she's like, "Oh no, we're just getting him another skateboard if he's into it." So he's like into it for like 48 hours, and she's like, "I'm gonna get another skateboard." Which
you gotta teach him young, right? You gotta try.
I just give him
they
credit.
Can just latch onto that shit and be pros in a couple weeks.
Right. He's fallen a lot. He's taken some bad spills. Like fell, back, neck, head kind of hitting the ground, and gets up, cries a little bit, and then gets back on the board. So
respect, man.
I'm impressed.
I bought one skateboard when I was in high school. It was not for me. It was for my dog, because I saw these videos of skateboarding bulldogs. I had a bulldog, and I was like, we can make this happen.
Just makes sense.
So I bought this skateboard, and then I spent about 20 minutes trying to teach him how to skateboard, before realizing I don't know how I was going to teach the dog how to skateboard if I couldn't figure out how to skateboard. It was a fruitless endeavor. And I never made it viral famous.
Nah, it's a bummer.
I mean, at best, I would have just been one of the other dogs that was doing it.
That's
So
true.
I was really doomed from the start.
Should have got him a scooter.
Should have got him a scooter. Or, I mean, honestly, a bulldog fucking with some tech decks. Still pretty cool.
He just rides 4 little tech decks, one under each paw.
Oh, it'd work out, man. All right.
I also
Welcome.
had one more thing. Do you ever have the little tech deck snowboards?
No,
For the
you
win- for
fucking
the-
did not.
For the winter months?
You'd use them outside?
No, but I'm obviously not going to finger skateboard when it's snowing outside. You know what I mean?
But they didn't have wheels, so, like, what surfaces did you use it on?
You could use it on anything.
Oh, okay, it was just, like, slick.
Yeah, just like.
Okay.
I also had finger. I'm just there's now. This is actually a little concerning at the level I went into this. I also had finger rollerblades.
Oh.
They basically just slipped on like little thimbles or whatever, and they just had like little fake wheels on the bottom.
Really the pinnacle of entertainment here. These
Yeah.
finger sports.
Finger sports. I'm surprised they're not in the Olympics.
I mean, the sad thing is I bet I could YouTube it and there would be somebody that like puts any actual athletic ability that I have to shame. Not that I have any, but like I would see them and I would be so impressed by what they're doing with their goddamn tech decks that it would be crazy.
Absolutely, for sure. It's got to be nuts, and maybe not Olympics, but at least X Games, right?
Some X Games.
That's
yeah.
some hardcore shit.
Lowercase X Games.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a little X.
it's just 2 fingers making an X.
Just 2 fingers making the X. Yeah. Exactly. Sponsored by 5 Hour Energy, which is just like the smaller Red Bull, right?
Yeah.
I think it's
Not
the
to
same thing.
not to be confused with the fingers making 3 X's. That's a different thing.
the lowercase triple X game. You can find that where you'll be able to find our next podcast on porn sites near you.